Hello and welcome to TA for Traders. It's Wednesday the 18th of October. In this video we'll be looking at two UK stocks and two US stocks. In the UK we're going to start with Hilton Food Group. Now that's just had a secondary offering which was announced last night and concluded this morning. They raised about £57 million. It was about 10% of the company was sold. It went at a small discount, well 3.5% discount, I guess a usual discount to a normal secondary. But it's been very well appreciated by the market and the shares are moving up. In fact, I decided to do Hilton Food Group for this video about an hour and a half ago, and the share price has moved about 15p higher already. It's moving into new high ground. The other share I'm going to look at in the UK is the old British Airways International Airline Group, code IAG, and that also is moving into new high ground and looks good technically. In the States, I'll be first of all looking at Goldman Sachs. They've come out with disappointing trading figures due to their trading, and we've had an engulfing pattern on bearish engulfing on the daily. And then we'll have a look at Ferrari, code RACE, where there's a lot of activity at the moment and it looks like it's about to move higher. Let's look at those charts. Oh, sorry, I haven't done my usual music. Anyway, you'll have to do without that today. So here we are looking at Hilton Food Group. And you can see that this is the weekly, so each candle represents 1 week, that we're now moving into new high ground. It was positive that we came back to the 20-week moving average, found support, and are using the moving average as what I call the boomerang effect, trampoline effect, sorry, to bounce off. Other factors here, we're showing solid momentum. You can see that the RSI is at 65.13 and moving up, which is good. And the MACD as well, short term just moved above the long term in a positive picture. On the daily, and here you can see we're now at 8.15. This morning when I decided to do this stock, it was at £8, and we've now broken up above the short-term resistance, which was seen at 8.03, and into new high ground. We've also just had a golden cross yesterday on the 20, crossing the 50-day moving average, and there's solid momentum with the RSI well above 50 and in an uptrend, and the MACD flashing a buy signal as well. So I would expect this rally to continue. On the 4 hour, again the spike found support at the 20 on the 4 hour, which was good. You can see the moving averages all held. The 200 on the 4 hour actually came into play in September. It all looks good. We've got positive momentum. I'd like to see that RSI just move a bit higher on this rally, which I'm sure it will do. It did peak at about 67. It's hard to check. It's 69 actually. We're at 67.07 at the moment, so it just needs to get back above that level, but I'm sure that is going to be no hindrance. You can see the volume caused by the secondary on an up day. All looks good, and the MACD short term is going to move back above the long term tomorrow. Moving on to International Consolidated Airlines, IAG, and again we're moving on this weekly into new high ground, again bouncing off the 20-week moving average. Positive momentum from the RSI, and the short term is about to move back above the long term. All again looks very similar to Hilton and looks good. On the daily, you can see we're spiking into new high ground. I'd want to see this hammer extended through today a bit longer. It has come back, as you can see. There's a chance that the doji would be a negative hammer shape today, so be aware of that, but I'm hoping that we'll get a rally into the afternoon. Again, there's been a golden cross as the 20s cross the 50. It does look very similar to Hilton Food, and looks good. Momentum again solid, nice uptrend. RSI presently 66.34, MACD also very positive. On the 4 hour, you can see we found support at the 20 of the 4 hour. RSI here has moved into new high ground, which is good, 72.43. MACD still moving up and still shouting a buy. On America, Goldman Sachs, this is the weekly. You can see it's having trouble getting towards the old high in the 250 up to the 255 level. Potential double top here, be aware of that. Negative that we've pulled back actually, but there is support coming through from the 20 and the 50. 50 is moving up a bit too steeply. You'll see that taper off over the next few weeks. The 20 should cross it, but let's see where the spot goes. Momentum, we've lost a bit of upside momentum, although the RSI is still 55.99 and the MACD still above 0 and the short term still above the longer term. On the daily, you can see that we've had an engulfing bearish picture. It's always bad if you have a candle like that where the body encompasses all of the previous day's trading, when as you can see it actually covers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days trading has been covered by that body as it's moved down through the day yesterday. Also, we closed below the 20-day moving average, and I would say that further downside should be expected because of that engulfing picture. Support comes in from the rising 250-day moving averages. They're just above the 230 and the 50-day just below 229.45. There is also some a bit of trading around that level that will give support, which was from the 21st to the 26th of September. Negative that yesterday's volume was high as well, and you can see that momentum has been lost on Goldman. RSI is now 50.54. It'll only take a small down move tomorrow for that to be below 50. And the MACD, the short term, has already moved below the long term and is shouting a sell or beware signal. On the 4 hour, again we had an engulfing candle. We've now moved lower than that on the next candle, finding support at the rising 50 from this 4 hour chart. High volumes. Expect that, well, the 20 already is moving down, so that will give resistance on any short-term rally, but there's negative momentum. RSI in a downtrend and at 41.86, and also the MACD tracking down heavily, and the short term will go below 0 today. Finally, moving on to Ferrari, code RACE. Here you can see that since the IPO, the shares did move down, and they've since more than tripled, done very well indeed, moving close to new high ground. Be careful, there could be a double top, be aware of that, and we are slightly extended away from the moving averages. RSI still showing positive momentum, 72.78, but could be about to crack down. It's at support and has fallen, so be aware. And the MACD are shouting beware on this weekly as the short term is below the long term. On the daily, You can see that we're moving sideways above the 20 and 50. It was good that the 20 came back to the 50, but we do need to get a bounce into new high ground to be confirm this as a flag, really, this consolidation phase. If we go back below the moving averages and close below for 3 days, that could be the end of it. There is support now, obviously, at the 110, 109 level, but below there it would be vulnerable. So we need to start moving to the upside again. Momentum has slightly been lost. The RSI is just going sideways, but it is above 50, 57.71, and the MACD still showing positive momentum with a short above the long. So it's okay on the momentum side, but we just need to get a bit of a kick up, or the momentum will be lost and we might test those supports. And finally, on the 4 hour, and again very similar to the daily, we need to hold above these moving averages. It wasn't a golden cross when the 20 crossed the 50 back on the 9th of October, so be aware of that. It's not negative, it's still positive that the moving averages are all moving up and all below the stock, but we just need to get some upside into this. Again, we're losing momentum, just going sideways, 56.17. And the short-term MACD has now moved below the long-term. So keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on the RSI and keep your eye on these moving averages. It's just starting to look slightly vulnerable and needs to move up quickly. Okay, that's been a quick run through 4 stocks. Hilton Food Group and IAG in the UK both look positive, and in the States we looked at Goldman Sachs, where we've had a bearish engulfing picture, and we looked at Ferrari that needs to get on up and maintain its upside momentum and stay above those moving averages. I hope you found the video of interest. I know I rattled through these stocks and it's all quick, but hopefully you get the general picture. Please remember that these videos are for information only and they're not an investment recommendation.